Hey, Chris. So, thank you so much for the turnaround on the color test. So, really appreciate. And again, this is nice for our new practice, right? Which is the colors, being able to look at those, and then the difference in decals and highlights. So, let me jump into this a little bit and share kind of where I'm at. I think overall, I like this color scheme the most. The I really like this too. I like all of them. That's the problem. I like all of them. I want them all. But I think I like this one the most. Also, one thing here that I really like that you did with both of these is that you painted in these highlights, which kind of give me this idea. It doesn't make a lot of sense from a lighting perspective. I don't care about that, but it makes me feel like these colors are reflected in the material surface a little bit. You can kind of see this here in this space. So one of the things that we don't have is I don't really see that kind of light, kind of purplish reflection painted over here. So I really want us to also think about these highlights. Now, maybe with the environment, it's going to be less lighting from the, call it a self-illuminated surface or something like that. Like most I think these guys are only going to show up in level 1, so we might want to paint them similar to what we have in the city. So, but food for thought when we finish that up there. So okay, down to the highlights. All right, so I like in general the red highlights. I think here I like the glow. Again, when we have this in game. Now, one of the things to keep in mind here is that this eye is a separate asset. So I think we can keep your version of the inner eye underneath. And I'm adding the glow already to be a little more dynamic. I kind of like a little flickeriness with that, right? So just to keep that in mind, obviously we need to paint the rest of the eye and maybe we can drop the highlights. I'm not entirely sure. I can add the highlights as a separate thing. Talk to Dimitri about that. Yes. So then one of the things I really like is that in the lighter colors, you can see I think the line accentuation for like the iris, the kind of camera shutter effect, and we're not quite there. So I'd like to see you do a couple more revisions on this. I think we're close, but when we come to this brightness here, that detail, because of the brightness and it being in the color that it's in, it kind of washes that out. So let's try a little bit more iteration on that inner side to make those details pop a bit more. And then let's also try, maybe it's not quite as bright as the neon, but maybe we can try to accent the lines just a little bit. So then it fills in some of that texture. Now, it very well could be that we actually wind up dropping the glow. Excuse me. I'm dying. We actually drop the glow here. We leave it in as part of the particle effect, and that might actually make it to where those, because of the way that the particle is popping, that might give it more a little bit more visibility. So I don't know, food for thought. So then last thing here. So I think everywhere I've got the check marks are the little accents that I like the most that you've explored. So you can see I mostly want to try to keep with the really small accent lights. I'm trying to keep this thing from being a giant disco neon monolith. In this particular case, I'm trying to go for this kind of vibe of like this very ominous, like almost like a 2001 kind of flavor, like a 2001 Odyssey flavor. Yeah, so with that in mind, you can kind of see it's mostly these little accents. I do like this version of the outer neon highlight paints that you've got going on there. And I think we can keep those, which is good. And then we replace them all in red, of course. I think red is the right kind of ominous color. It offsets the iris as well. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I want to see these bits here. And then because I'm kind of going for that ominous thing, I want to keep the large neon streaks and lines just off of this thing. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Okay, so for the next version, if you would please, let's go with your best version because I think we're close. Have Dimitri check it in so we can check it out in Engine and see how it feels there. It's both in level 1 in the lower city area, and then it's also in the test level. And then let's see a couple iterations on that inner bit that we talked about. All right, very, very cool. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you next time.